Let's look at this. Some universities face being downgraded or even closed if they don't keep up with the requirements to be classified as universities. That's under a draft policy published earlier. It lays out how university colleges will differ from full universities and also differ from higher education colleges. Head of Operations at Universities South Africa, Dr. Linda Meyer joins us. Doctor, thank you for being with us. Can we clarify, are there institutions currently called universities that do not qualify, so they can be downgraded?
All of the South African public universities have a very strong research agenda, and more than 90% and 95% of their programs are registered on the Higher Education Qualifications Framework. Therefore, we don't anticipate that any of the current public universities will be downgraded to university colleges or higher education colleges.
Okay, but we could see private universities that have been set up being downgraded.
So what this policy really does is currently private providers are not classified as universities. They may not use the term university or university college. So this system really is the UK and the Canadian system that we are transporting now to South Africa, that allows for differentiated classification of particular institutional type. So private providers will now be able to be classified as universities and university colleges if they meet the specific requirements. So clearly the delineation is around the research agenda of each of these types of institutions and what the program offering then is commensurate to what the research agenda and teaching and learning program is for the respective institution.
All right, so it allows some institutions to move up, but you don't envisage anybody going down. Tell us more about the bar to become a fully fledged university.
So the important thing that the policy sets out is that any new institution would have to be a university college, and they would then have a framing within 5 years to then migrate to becoming a fully fledged university. So critically, what is important for a university is that they have teaching and learning, a strong research agenda, a strong internationalization agenda, but also primarily that their community engagement is at the center and focal point of what new knowledge production brings to these institutions. So if we look at our South African public universities, really all of these institutions meet that specific requirement, with more than 95% of their programs being within the higher education frame. Critically, obviously, nursing colleges, etc., have fallen out of the frame, and this will allow them to come back into a very strong regulated environment.
And maybe it's worth saying there are private institutions sort of setting themselves up as giving you a university equivalent degree or something like that. There are some bogus institutions out there. They need to be registered either way.
Indeed. So there are many good private providers in South Africa. And obviously, when you study a degree with a public or a private institution in South Africa, it's registered on the National Qualifications Framework. So it's exactly the same qualification that you are achieving. But clearly, we need to normalize the system so that if a student enters and studies with a university, they know what it is that they're entering for, or university college.
Yes.
So clearly, for our FET colleges, all of these new domains within the higher education sector, this creates a platform to normalize, but also to drive the strong transformational elements and to bring coherency to a very fragmented system that we currently find ourselves in.
Yeah, and that'll help everybody. What do you get if you are at a university college? You say that there will be universities, colleges first, and then they will have to move up to become a full university. Do you get a degree? Can you say, I'm degreed?
Yes, indeed. So for a higher education college, they will focus on professional programs. University colleges will really focus on the undergraduate domain with limited research capacity. Universities will have to have at least 95% of their programs for degrees and postgraduate degrees, but with a strong focus on the postgraduate domains, research, internationalization policy. So clearly just ensuring that there's credibility throughout the higher education sector as we escalate and we create pathways of learning and research stability across the sector.
Where does this leave international universities that are offering degrees in South Africa? Henley comes to mind. I'm sure there are many. And I don't know if they're doing the same community work that they would in their home countries here. So maybe they can't say they're developing South Africa. They're not involved in huge research here. Would that be then worried about sort of on an international level?
Yes, so any international university that is offering a program in South Africa has to register that program with the South African Qualifications Authority. They also have to be accredited with the Council on Higher Education. So it really is a dual accreditation that they carry, both in the UK and then in South Africa. But certainly the elements of research, community engagement, and teaching and learning will be re-evaluated. So there might be an impact on institutions. But Henley, certainly from a research perspective and from an academic credibility perspective, certainly has held their own. But I think you point out very important community engagement imperatives, and that will have to be revisited in the evaluation of institutions.
All right, finally, I mean, people who are finding the system confusing now, who are thinking of studying and want to make sure that they know what they're getting, any advice?
Yes, so always go onto the South African Qualification Authority's website. Make sure that your qualification is registered on the National Qualifications Framework, and importantly, go onto the Department of Higher Education and Training's website and make sure that your institution is accredited for the specific program that you want to enroll for.
All right, thank you very much. Head of Operations at Universities South Africa, Dr. Linda Meyer.